Warning! The following video contains really fake-looking artificial mustaches, beards, and other bad hair pieces. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey, friends! Remember when conspiracy theories used to be kind of fun? Like the government was covering up UFOs at Area 51, or Amelia Earhart was spying on the Japanese and she got captured or shot down or something. Or who was Jack the Ripper? Nowadays, though, in our hyper-partisan world, conspiracy theories are all politically motivated. Ugh! But instead of that crap, we're going to take a look at a movie centered around a conspiracy theory from back in the day, when they were still kind of fun. That's right. This time, we're talking about the Lincoln Conspiracy from 1977, based on a book of the same title. Our story goes like this. It's the Civil War, and John Wilkes Booth isn't happy. Wait. Hold the phone here. What the hell is even that? Just look at that. This is John Wilkes Booth in real life. His stash didn't look like that. This was the real crime. He's supposed to be John Wilkes Booth, but he looks more like Ned Flanders. Well, idly hodily, ably-dabley, I'm gonna pop your noggin with my trusty Derringer Do. Where was I? Oh, John Wilkes Booth isn't happy. And not just about his fake-looking mustache. See, as well as being an actor, he's in league with the South. Still, he knows the South needs men to fight, but he himself stays safely home. So basically, dude is a slacktivist. But to his dubious credit, Booth is, at least reportedly, a spy for the Confederacy. He's not a very effective one, but hey, at least he's doing more than today's slacktivists. Booth cooks up a conspiracy with some fellow losers to grab Honest Abe, but fate is against him. There are actually two conspiracies. One involves Booth, of course, and the other some high-ranking officers and elected officials who don't like Lincoln and his plans for peace and reconstruction. Now, the idea was never to kill Lincoln, but to kidnap him instead, get him across the border into the South, and use him in an exchange to have a bunch of Southern prisoners freed. Remember, at this point in the war, the Confederacy was on the ropes and desperate for more men to carry on the fight. The high-ranking guys merely want Lincoln replaced by a vice president who was more friendly to their way of thinking, namely, to punish the South. These guys started out working with Booth, but after bungling things once or twice already, the big guys running the show come to the conclusion Booth is a loser. And they can't trust Booth to get the job done, so they tell him to bow out while they handle things themselves. Under pressure to act before the competing conspiratists can, and get himself some glory, Booth decides to go all in, abandoning the idea of kidnapping Lincoln and just doing away with the president instead, as well as several high-ranking cabinet members. In real life, most of that never came off, so yeah, Booth's gang here were a bunch of losers. Anyway, Booth and one of his men escape and are on the run, being chased across the South. Eventually, Booth is tracked down and cornered in a barn that gets set on fire to smoke him out. Then they shoot him. Or did they? Over the course of the movie, we see how the two conspiracies play out and what, supposedly, happened. In our cast, we have some name brands. John Anderson plays Lincoln. He's really good as the president. He certainly does look the part in spite of any questionable hairpieces, and delivers a good performance as Old Honest Abe. It's the sort of performance where you wish you could see more of him playing Lincoln in other things. We also have John Dehner as one of the conspirators. Dehner was a fine actor, and he had a great voice, too. Dehner starred in both film and television over his long career, and started out doing voice work and was an animation assistant for Disney cartoons. He worked on both Fantasia and Bambi, and several Disney shorts. We last saw him in my review of Plymouth Adventure. Friend of the channel, Whit Bissell, also plays a conspirator, and among Booth's henchmen we have Gopher from The Love Boat, Fred Gandy, as well as future Hazard County patrolman Enos from The Dukes of Hazzard, Sonny Schroyer, and his soon-to-be co-star on Dukes, Cooter. Ben Jones is here too, and then there's Ken Kercheval, Cliff Barnes from Dallas, who plays another conspirator. Robert Middleton, the man with the mop on his chin, he plays Edwin Stanton. Middleton appeared in a lot of classic films, such as The Court Jester, The Desperate Hours, The Big Combo, The Silver Chalice, Friendly Persuasion, Love Me Tender, just all kinds of things, and television too. His turn as the bemopped Stanton was his final screen role. Brad Crandall, one of the best narrators ever, does his usual great job of doing the cinematic play-by-play. And finally, we have Bradford Dillman as the man with the painfully obvious fake cookie duster here as John Wilkes Booth. Dillman was a fine actor, but never really a star. Kind of like Wayne Rogers. Familiar face, fine actor, but never really the big draw. Dillman had it in him, though. He played Captain McKay, Dirty Harry's boss in The Enforcer, and again played Dirty Harry's boss in Sudden Impact. He was in Escape from the Planet of the Apes and the Abyss ripoff, Lords of the Deep. We last saw him in my review of The Eyes of Charles Sand. So this movie plays into the conspiracy theory that the man captured and killed in that barn was not, in fact, John Wilkes Booth, but someone else who vaguely looked like him. Thus was born a conspiracy theory. Most of these things are based on mere coincidence and, like the pseudo-science stuff, very sketchy evidence that simply doesn't stand up to scrutiny or reason. But that won't keep a good conspiracy theorist down, and they just hand-wave common sense away, and you can't prove a negative. So, did they get John Wilkes Booth, or didn't they? Well, I don't know. I wasn't there. But it's unlikely that if he escaped, he'd have kept his mouth shut. He was a ham actor after all. He liked attention and wanted to play the hero. Plus, he saw himself like Brutus, who selflessly turned assassin for what he saw as the greater good. No way this dude wouldn't at some point pipe up and say, "Hey, it was me! Here I am!" But there's no real evidence anyone can look at, which means you can decide for yourself. Like me, I have a conspiracy theory. It's the George Burns death conspiracy theory. See, comedy legend George Burns famously said he wanted to live to 100 and play at the Palladium. For the last third of his life, it was his thing to say he'd live to 100 years old and do a show at the Palladium. Well, as the magic date of his centenary approached, he got very ill, but he kept saying he'd make it, even though the venue was changed. Well, then he dropped out of sight in the last month or so of his life, and then he died, just after turning 100 years old. So he made it. Or did he? See, I don't think George Burns made it. I think he died at 99 years and 11 months and a couple of weeks old. But because his whole thing was making it to 100, his family, his staff, his agent, his doctors, the hospital, the nurses, and even the coroner all went along with it, fudged the date on the death certificate, and said he made it to 100. Oh, I'm wrong, am I? Well, where's your evidence? Prove me wrong. See how that works? I still believe it, though. The Lincoln Conspiracy was produced by Sunn Classic Pictures, a company that turned out a lot of low-budget fare, including speculative fiction like this and pseudo-science documentaries because, well, they were cheap to make. They also were behind the Grizzly Adams movie and subsequent TV series, Sunn probably reaching the height of its fame with those two productions. Now, apparently, they shot a lot of footage with interviews with experts and scientists going over the evidence for all this, but test audiences didn't like it, so they cut all that out. Anyway, this movie, I enjoyed it. The movie doesn't actually get into the weeds until maybe in the last 10 minutes or so, but it's still fun. And also surprising, it doesn't look all that cheap. Sure, there's some obvious stock footage for battle sequences and some bad hair bases. I mean, look at this. This is the real Edwin Stanton here. And then there's poor Robert Middleton. Oh, Jesus. But the good points in this picture more than make up for any fake follicles. They did make an effort to have the picture look like the period it was set in, so far as their budget would allow. You have a very good cast, with both Daner and Dillman as standouts, and the picture is engaging, whether you believe the conspiracy theory or not. Previously, this was only on VHS, so far as I know, and while you can find a rip of that on YouTube, Kino Lorber has put this out on a nice Blu-ray. That includes a commentary track with the director, so that's the one to pick up. This is an interesting slice of entertainment from a better time, when speculative fiction and conspiracy theories were more than tribal shouting matches. So I'm giving The Lincoln Conspiracy 2.5 paws up. Well worth a look. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.